Texas Senate votes to block the proposed relocation of the Alamo Cenotaph. San Antonio police and fire unions spend nearly $270,000 on municipal elections. And air conditioners make their way to San Antonio public housing. This is your Express Briefing podcast for Wednesday, May 8th. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts. And get each day's top news and sports headlines delivered to your inbox at expressnews.com/newsletters. Tuesday, the Texas Senate approved a sweeping bill that would prevent San Antonio from relocating the Cenotaph within Alamo Plaza. The bill would also make it harder to take down historic and Confederate monuments across Texas. Despite fierce objections from Democrats, Tuesday the Senate gave the bill initial approval in a vote of 19-12. Moving the 1930 Cenotaph that honors Alamo defenders is among the most contentious parts of a master plan that seeks to close the plaza to traffic, restore the historic church, and open a new museum. Opponents of the Cenotaph's relocation argue it's akin to digging up a grave, while proponents say it will be moved to a more prominent location in the plaza so the original battlefield can be restored. While Republican Senator Brandon Creighton of Conroe, who authored the bill, says his intention is to protect the Cenotaph, San Antonio Democratic Senator Jose Menendez says the legislation could undo millions of dollars in investments and efforts to move the concrete and marble Cenotaph 500 feet to a more prominent place. The bill includes provisions specific to the Cenotaph, noting that no entity may alter, remove, or relocate the Alamo Cenotaph from the location where the Cenotaph was first placed following its completion, and also addresses the concerns of those who have objected to removing Confederate monuments, which are viewed by many as symbols of racism. The legislation would also require that for any future attempts to remove historic monuments, a supermajority of the City Council, County Commissioners Court, or state legislature would be needed. That change could hinder efforts to strip schools, streets, and public parks of names and artwork glorifying the Confederacy. It remains to be seen whether the bill will gain traction in the Republican-led House, where some members have proposed their own bills aimed at blocking the Cenotaph relocation or stopping the removal of historic monuments. In addition to the action taken by the Texas Senate, Tuesday, leaders of the San Antonio Conservation Society unveiled a compromise plan for Alamo Plaza, and if necessary, vowed to lie down in front of bulldozers to save state-owned historic buildings. One of the hotly debated issues has been the possible partial demolition of the 1921 Woolworth Building, the 1923 Palace Theater, and the 1882 Crockett Building in order to build a museum on the site by 2024. The plan unveiled by the Conservation Society suggests razing the Palace Building and creating a modern facade in its place, while keeping the exterior faces of the Woolworth and Crockett buildings on either side. The Society has also applied for a state antiquities landmark designation for the Woolworth Building to document its ties to the civil rights movement. And Friday, the Texas Historical Commission will consider the request. New data shows between January 1st and April 25th, San Antonio's police and firefighter unions spent a combined $268,000 during the city's election cycle, with the police union's political arm spending more than double the amount it spent in the same span during the 2017 elections. While both the police and firefighter unions have endorsed Greg Brockhouse for mayor and 5 council candidates, the police union has declined to say how the group has divided its resources among the candidates, and it remains unclear how much money benefited Brockhouse. However, the fire union has been more explicit, and while it spent less this year than it did in 2017, the union has said it's concentrating exclusively on Brockhouse's campaign for mayor. Before he was elected to the council in 2017, Brockhouse was a political consultant for both unions, which have feuded with the city for years over contract negotiations and other issues. And as Brockhouse and Mayor Ron Nirenberg head for a June 8th runoff, the union's involvement has been a significant topic of discussion, with Nirenberg calling Greg Brockhouse a puppet for the unions, a characterization he flatly rejects. But despite help for Brockhouse from both police and firefighters, from January 1st to April 24th, Mayor Ron Nirenberg's campaign outspent the Brockhouse campaign by more than a 7-to-1 margin, with the councilman having raised and spent significantly less money than most recent mayoral contenders. And the San Antonio Housing Authority has begun installing air conditioners in public housing units across the city, with the goal of installing more than 2,000 by June 30th. The equipment was purchased through a deal between SAHA, the city, and private donors to come up with $1.5 million to purchase and install window air conditioners in almost 2,400 Alamo City public housing units that lack them. Contractors first began installing air conditioners on May 2nd in apartments rented to seniors and people with disabilities. Each unit costs roughly $315 plus $100 to install, and tenants who receive them will be given $15 to help cover electricity costs. As soon as the devices are installed, residents are taught how to set them on energy saver mode and are encouraged to work with CPS Energy to find ways to reduce their bills. And that's your daily San Antonio Express briefing for Wednesday, May 8th. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts.